All right, so James, introduce yourself.
My name's James. Nice to meet everybody.
Everybody meet James. So James, you used to do jujitsu.
Still do jujitsu.
Oh, awesome. I just haven't seen you because I know you moved away and I haven't seen you, so I wasn't sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to assume you're jujitsu. But that's awesome, dude. Are you a blue belt yet?
I got my blue belt quite a while ago. I'd say about this time last year now. So,
Congrats.
thank
Now
you.
you just got to make it through the blue belt blues.
Yeah, it's a longer period. I know that
Yeah.
one. It's a long path to the purple.
Yeah, because purple's like halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get purple, you're like, oh, man, is it downhill from here? Nope. Still uphill. Timeline halfway. But it's all the same. You still have to work your ass off, show up, and all that good stuff. So what do you do, James, outside of jiu-jitsu?
So I am a project manager for an elevator company.
That sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, the elevator industry is a pretty unique industry, and it's something I came out of a 10-year career in manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
And got tired of that, started on a new leaf, landed at an elevator company, and it just kind of blew my mind because elevator companies are so big, so lucrative, and nobody knows about them.
No, it's not very common. I have a couple friends that I've known for a long time that were in the elevator industry. One of them was an inspector, and the other one basically, I don't know if he project managed, but he definitely was up there as far as installing them. So maybe it's the same difference. So tell us, how does an elevator work?
Well, you have a controller, you have the pump unit, that's a hydraulic elevator, so you got two different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the electric ones, those are going to be used for your high rises, and then you got your hydraulic ones that are used for your smaller buildings.
Right.
So your electric ones, those are much more expensive to work on.
Yeah.
They require a lot more maintenance, and they run on a completely different system.
Got it. And they're the ones that have like the pulley up top that pull cables.
That is correct.
And like in the corners of the shaft, there's like these tracks that kind of keep the elevator.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
They
cool.
both have those, and the hydraulic one has a actual hydraulic system that it's a piston that pushes it out from under the ground.
I've seen those.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the ones where you can actually see that piston.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because you're like, oh, that's how it pushes it up. Like, man, what happens if that thing just buckled?
There's a lot of safeties in places for elevators.
That's a good feeling. Okay, so say that again. There's a lot of safety
There's
in places.
a lot of safeties.
Yeah, all right, cool.
It would take such a series of events for an elevator to go catastrophic that I would say it's almost nearly impossible, especially with the mechanics being as high trained as they are. They're very thorough. They get inspected once a year, once every 5 years. They go full load weight testing. It's just it's a very safe system.
Sweet. So for all you people like me to get on an elevator and you always think, man, what would happen if this thing fucking broke? Don't even think about it because it's pretty fucking safe, right? Yeah.
When it becomes unsafe is when you try to get out.
When you try to get out.
When you try to get out, your elevator gets stuck and you try to get out. You start propping the doors, you start trying to climb out.
Okay.
That's where people get hurt.
Gotcha. Okay.
So stay there. Mechanic will be 45 minutes. Then you'll be out.
Got it. I actually knew a girl in high school who recently got stuck in an elevator. Poor thing. In Virginia Beach. And it was like she put it all over social media. She was on the news. She said it sucked. Yeah. So elevators, pretty fucking cool, pretty fucking safe. Obviously good money. And you're currently working on a project in Seattle, or do you work on multiple?
Right now, we have about 38 active projects in Washington. So we're rolling everywhere from the bulk of our work is in Seattle, but we'll do Bellevue, we'll do Everett, we'll do Tacoma. It's just anywhere that there's a building, a 2-story building. That's our work area.
Yeah. No elevators in a 1-story building.
No, and you don't want to because there's usually an extreme cost associated with them.
Yeah.
And that's why contractors, they'll try to cut corners and maybe give a building only one elevator.
Yeah.
Installing an elevator brand new in $400,000.
Yeah. So a minimum cost for an elevator is $300,000 to $400,000.
That would be for your typical, like, let's say a 5-story, 6-story, something like that.
What about like a 41-story?
You can go 700 to $1 million a piece, something like that.
Holy
it just depends on it depends on what your scope is, what the customer wants. If you want to do bare bone, if you want to do full luxury, it's just.
I got to pull my calculator out. I'm sorry. That's crazy. So on average, the city of New York has about $600 billion worth of elevators.
New York is absolutely insane compared to Seattle.
Yeah.
And when our company, my
Company.
company is a international organization, and when we were looking at the revenue, New York brings in about 10 times what we do,
Yeah.
and it's just nonstop. Like our biggest high rises are their smallest buildings.
Yeah.
Here in Seattle.
Yeah. The elevator at the Empire State Building, sorry, has that ceiling. You look up and it like shows a screen of the guys building the building.
Yep,
It's kind of cool.
That. I was there at the Empire State Building. That was one of the coolest things. See Otis, one of the first elevator companies.
They built that.
They built it. They still maintain it. That's like a lifelong contract.
Holy crap, dude! So cool because well, you're looking up and you're moving. You're like, whoa, you're kind of dizzy and trying to look at the ceiling with a screen on it. But that's awesome, man. And you just elevators or like escalators as well? Is that a different animal?
We do escalators too. We're not as involved in those. Our company has it's a plug and play, so they'll pull one out, stick a brand new one in.
Gotcha.
It's cheaper to replace it than it is to modernize it.
Gotcha.
So everything is extremely locked down in this industry, though.
And the cable elevators, the ones that are for high rises, that machine at the top that spins all the that turns the cable and stuff, like how does that work? Is it like a pulley system or is there a counterweight?
There's a counterweight. There's always a counterweight.
Yeah.
Almost every elevator has a counterweight.
And the counterweight is to basically make it to where the average amount of people in the elevator, the weight of the elevator, the weight of them, makes it to where it's almost balanced. Is that correct?
Every elevator will have a capacity.
Sure. Right.
And your counterweight matches that, and then the motor size to that, and that's how your whole system operates, as well as the speed of the elevator.
Gotcha.
So we'll get some that go from 75 feet a minute all the way up to 1,000.
1,000 feet a minute?
1,000 feet a minute.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. That's not even one of the fastest ones. I've seen them all the way up to 2,000.
Dude, so this restaurant I go to called Ascend in Bellevue. Have you been in that elevator?
Which one?
Ascend? Yeah.
I've been to that elevator.
Dude, it takes off fast.
That is a nice system that they
have. Dude, you feel like you're in an airplane, bro.
When it comes to the elevator industry, they have like that. I was eyeballing that. I look at all the elevators all over the city, and the Ascend has one of the nicest ones. It has destination dispatch, so it's a brain system that manages your elevator. So it tells people, okay, you want to go here? This elevator's on its way down. Grab this one, and it'll direct the people which one to take. It'll plan everything out and how it's going, and it's like that's a nice system.
Yeah, because there's not many like that, and I've been all over.
It's a very expensive system to have.
I believe it.
Yeah,
so those are one of the ones that are north of $1 million easily.
Yeah, you're not gonna find a lot of those in Seattle. Those New York, they're popping up everywhere.
Time is money, huh? Yeah, because there's 8 elevators on that building, and the one that goes to Ascend goes straight to the 31st floor. And yeah, you get there pretty fast. It's like within seconds.
Probably 1,200, 1,500 feet a minute.
Yeah, it moves. Nuts. Yeah. So anything else interesting about elevators that might not, come to mind for most people, but I like this conversation because who the fuck, I know I'm interested in it, but like who the fuck really knows about elevators? They just go, I get in this box and it moves.
It's an industry that's ripe with opportunity. And like I said, you go in it, not a lot of people are in it. You don't have a lot of saturation in these industries.
Gotcha. As far as work and such.
I've never seen an industry, like coming from the manufacturing world, we were pinching every penny that was possible. Efficiency. There was no stone left unturned. So coming from that mindset, coming to this industry, and what I've seen, it's just the entire industry as a whole. It's just so lucrative. No one cares. Be efficient, doesn't matter.
It's got to be correct. Yeah, it's got to be correct. So tell me a little bit about jiu-jitsu and how it's changed your life.
Jiu-jitsu is just part of continuing to build who I want to be in the future. That's it. It's just a piece.
Say that one more time.
Jiu-jitsu was a piece of a puzzle that was part of me building the man that I want to be.
Right. So self-development.
self-development.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's helped you with everything else.
It's, yeah, absolutely. It
Yeah.
takes discipline to do it. It takes discipline to want to do it. It's,
I tell people that are apprehensive about doing jiu-jitsu, I say, look, there's no reason not to go walk through that door and try, because if you don't do it, you may be missing out on so many opportunities aside from just self-defense. I have students who they don't care to fight. Good, right? No one really cares to fight except for my students that want to fight, right? But I have students that go there for self-defense, and then they're like, oh, wait, no, this is a community. This is a community, right? And this is about networking. This is about just being able to interact with people as well. It's an education all around. And like you said, discipline, well, that's definitely required to get a black belt, because there's going to be times where you don't want to show up. There's going to be times where you question yourself. Oh, am I doing that good? Do I suck? Blah, 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 blah. We all get to those moments where we plateau, and then we have to really take a look at what's going on and what I need to change to make it to the next level, right? But no, jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, for me, it's required. And for you now, it might be required.
well, I got friends that don't fight, and I believe that every man should be able to fight. It's just part of being the all-encompassing version of yourself that you can.
Yeah.
And what I ask people is just, why don't you fight? What other thing are you doing with your time?
You got to use your body. You got to use your body, and you got to be able to defend yourself, no matter what kind of society you live in and how safe it is out there. No, I don't want anyone getting harmed, right? However, evolution, the way we're engineered, just like any other animal, we have this instinctual self-defense aspect that if we don't train or practice, especially through childhood, then you lose it, right? And I don't want to say that anybody is wrong for not being able to defend themselves or understand their body, but if you don't use your body the way it's supposed to be used, it will digress, right? So there's nothing wrong with learning how to fight, even though you don't want to fight. I went to jiu-jitsu because I told myself that, I will never be able to do that. I saw guys doing it. I wanted to do some sort of like self-defense, and I said, I'll never be able to do that. And so I did it anyways. And I was like, oh shit, I almost fucking left this on the table because of a mindset I had. Fuck that mindset. That negative mindset, that's what gets you killed.
Mindset is everything.
Mindset is everything.
Is
everything
in this world.
So when their mindset is negative and they have this doubt, this fucking insecure belief, they're only hurting themselves they're only hurting their future selves in so many ways.
I've got friends that I try to coach with that. It's like the mindset. I tell them, there's a version of you that's out on the streets right now.
Yeah.
There's a version of you that's a millionaire.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the difference between the two? Why don't you go be the homeless guy? Well, no, I'm not going to do that. Heck no, I would never do that. That's just a mindset. And apply that mindset, and it's just, as soon as you change that, it's like a mind-blowing thing. And it's jiu-jitsu, training, any kind of training.
Yeah.
What are you doing with your time? What better things you have to do with your time?
Right.
Watch TV, play video games, watch porn. What are you doing?
Well, that's the default setting. If you don't do something,
that's the default.
Yeah,
setting.
You watch TV.
Instead of doing something like that, something productive, studying, fighting. What are you doing with your time?
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing to take a few minutes to, disconnect, maybe unplug from your job or whatever, and do something like maybe play a little bit of video games or maybe, watch a little bit of TV. I just don't I like comedy. So I like watching stand-up comedians. I'll watch that, right? And I also watch stuff that's very interesting and educational, right? But anymore, just putting on a binge watching a Netflix fucking okay.
I can't do it.
Okay. I've been there. Same with the video games. Oh, I've been there. World of Warcraft, PlayerUnknown Battleground. I have been there. And I remember my wife telling me, she's like, Shannon, if you put as much time and energy and effort into your business as you do these video games, how good would you be?
That's a hell of a wife.
And I was like, I'm actually pretty fucking good at these video games. Maybe she's on to something. Yeah. It's all the same thing. Just this is on a screen and this is in real life, except this actually has more constructive benefits. So, wow, we got on a tangible tangent there. Everything's good. So jiu-jitsu obviously is awesome. I love having a lot of my community is jiu-jitsu people because dude, they're badass people, man. Not just as people that can fight, but like people who, like you said, have integrity, have discipline, have mindset, like-minded, open-minded. There are some people that come through the door and they're not as open-minded at first. However, they opened the door, so that's the start. And then I try not to implement any compulsion. I kind of let them go at their own pace and meet them where they're at, because ultimately everyone's there for their own journey, their own thing. Some people want to fight. Some people just want to learn how to defend themselves. Some people just want to be social. Some people just want to exercise. We got it all. I can help with that. All of it. Even even the fitness portion of it too. You know, jiu-jitsu alone, you're going to burn calories. You're going to move your body. You're going to get in shape. However, if you're not eating the right stuff, well, you're still going to have some issues with your health. But you're more likely to be healthy if you exercise than if you eat and do nothing, evidently. And one of the things that I tell my students when they say, "Hey, professor, you know, what should I be eating?" I just say, real food, just real food. That's all. And if it comes in a box or if it comes in a can, it's probably not super good for you, right? Try to eat things that are fresh around the perimeter of the store, real meat, real vegetables, complex carbohydrates, potatoes, sweet potatoes, super good for you. And the peeling of the potato, if you can help it, eat that too. It's very mineral dense, even though it's got a lot of fiber to it, but there's a lot of minerals there. Just real food, you know. Stay away from sugary drinks, all of them. They're all bad.
Sugar's poison.
It's poison.
Yeah, it is poison.
Yeah, if you're going to drink anything that, you know, is outside of water or, I don't know. If you have orange juice, mix it with some water, right? But I still don't encourage it because straight up orange juice is still sugar. But yeah, eat real food, real complex carbohydrates. That could be any vegetable. Leafy greens are cool, but they're not super mineral. I mean, spinach is more mineral dense than like lettuce, right? But if you eat too much spinach, well, then you're getting some toxins. You know what I mean? And you're trying to get your protein from spinach. There's no way that's going to happen. It has protein, but it's not the same as a steak or fish. You know?
Food is power.
Food is power. Yeah.
Food is power.
It's required. Think of food as like construction materials for your body, you know? And
I've actually had a really unique experience with that, with jiu-jitsu too.
yeah.
And I remember I was trying to cut weight. I was trying to just lean out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not eating enough carbs. And I got to see the effects of what that had. I was eating a ton of protein and everything else. And I remember I would do just a light sparring session in jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
My heart rate would max out.
You were tired?
And my heart rate was maxing out. I felt like I was going to black out.
Oh, really?
And I was like, what is I just turned 32 and I was like, oh my God, is this what it's going to be like from now on?
Hmm.
And just started eating again, started eating rice,
Yeah.
getting the carbs, everything went right back to normal.
So the thing is you need carbs for energy, right? And then when you go from carbs to no carbs and you're eating just protein, right? Protein, you need fat too, trust me. Like meat, it takes time for your body to acclimate to that, right? It takes time for your body to go, oh, we burn fat and such. If you're exercising and you're doing, you know, work that requires high heart rate and a lot of conditioning, you got to have carbs. You got to. I carb load before I work out, and I eat some carbs after, especially after a heavy rolling session, because that's when your body's like, oh, I need to get this stuff back in. I need to restore the glycogen storage, and you know, it's an instant source of energy. If you break down protein, it takes about 20 minutes to convert from protein to carbohydrates, to sugar, in other words. If you have some rice or potatoes or something starchy like that, almost within a minute, you're getting carbs right away into your bloodstream. The problem is people will eat it and they eat too much of it, and then your body is absorbing the carbs faster than it can burn it. Therefore, the blood sugar gets high, and then the insulin goes, oh crap, there's too much blood sugar. We got to get rid of this. And then they dump it into fat storage. But if you're burning it, then you're way less likely to dump it into fat storage. And if you eat, let's say, you know, let's call it 200 to 300 calories worth of carbs before you go work out, you're not going to store that as fat, especially if you're doing something cardiovascular-wise. Mm-hmm. About a half hour or so before you work out. Maybe even 15 minutes. People are like, oh, you're not supposed to eat before you train. I'm like, well, your body does know what to do if you don't eat before you train, but it's okay to eat some carbs before you train. especially if you don't feel nauseous or anything afterwards. Because I do. I would eat, dude. I would eat a whole fucking like chicken burrito with beans and rice and everything about 30 minutes before I train. I wouldn't have an issue, and I could train for 3 hours because my body had something to draw from. Yeah. I wouldn't have an issue. But for some people, they're like, oh, I get nauseous, so I don't want to eat 2 hours before I train. Well, if you're going to do that, then you got to make sure you balance your meal where you have carbs, protein, and fats, so you're not absorbing the carbs so fast that you create that insulin response, right? If you go down a fucking soda, you're not going to feel very well 15 minutes later. You're going to have this wave, blood sugar wave. But if you eat, 300 calories worth of carbohydrates, even 200, about a half hour, 15 minutes to a half hour before you train, with some protein even, you're going to have more of a stable energy burn. And then your body can always tap into the reserves for energy. Like when you get that fight or flight feeling, the adrenaline, that's one way of your body going, oh shit, we need to wake the fuck up. We got this problem in front of us we got to deal with. So that fear response, that fight or flight feeling. But too much of that is burning your energy storage, and it can definitely produce a negative, basically a crash. So that takes time to get used to as well, because when you first go to jiu-jitsu, you get nervous, right? You have that feeling. Well, eventually you don't have that feeling except for when you compete. Then before you step on the mat, you get that anxiety feeling. I accept that feeling because then that's how you minimize the damage. You accept that feeling because that's your body priming itself for battle. So I get that feeling, that anxiety feeling, and I breathe into it, I shake my hands, and I just accept it so that I minimize it. Because when you try to fight it, it makes it worse. You freak out, and people can start get tingling in their hands and such.
Yeah, I noticed so much with that. Injuries were more rampant when you're not giving your body what it needs.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like you will pay for it. And as soon as I started eating right, got all my carbs, got all my fats.
Everything dialed in your macros.
I was just perfect.
Macros, guys.
Flawless energy, healing happened
in
2 days instead of 2 weeks.
Yep.
Night and day.
Yeah, protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Your macros, if you watch those, it's like on paper, put it down, like allocate it. Like go to a trainer, someone that can help you with that. Like you watch what your macros are doing, and you balance those. You'd be surprised how much more efficient your body is, much better you will feel. Mm-hmm. And then also chart the foods that you eat and then how you feel. And if you have days where you don't feel kind of good, you're kind of like blah. Well, look at what you ate. Did you do something different? Did you do eggs this day, fish this day, meat this day, right? And then maybe you might have a mild food allergy. Do you know how many people have food allergies? They don't even realize it. Because it's not like I eat a food and I get anaphylactic. No, like there are common foods that people eat that there's a mild enough allergy that it actually messes with them. They don't feel as good.
No kidding.
Yeah, not kidding. Go to a naturopathic doctor and get a food allergy test. They dig deep.
I did that.
Yeah, legit. You'd be surprised what you find. I didn't know I was allergic to brewer's yeast, like beer. I didn't know that. And I went and got a food allergy test, and I stopped drinking beer. Felt a lot fucking better.
Yeah, your body's not under attack every day.
That's right. Yeah. And it wasn't severe enough to be like, oh, it's pretty obvious I'm allergic to beer, but it was just enough to go, oh shit, your body is actually working, and you're hurting it a little bit, just enough to notice. This is why. Brewer's yeast, which is also in a lot of shit, by the way. A lot of shit, fermented stuff.
Do one of those.
Yeah, no, do it. Everyone should do a food allergy test from a legit naturopathic doctor. From a legit. And I don't have any recommendations unless you live in the Seattle area. And then in that case, send me a DM and I'll send you a phone number for a guy who will help you with that. And he's fucking awesome. Couple guys, actually. Anyhow, so we got on a jiu-jitsu tangent there. So elevators, jiu-jitsu, you travel quite a bit.
I do.
Where have you been? Where's your favorite place?
This year I got back from Costa Rica in January, and I go down there quite often. I've got family down there. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I did Europe. So I did 12 days in Europe, bouncing from London, Switzerland, Italy, Venice, Rome, Zermatt, got to see all the famous sites, a lot of walking. And then I just did Barcelona, and next week it's Guatemala.
Next week is Guatemala.
And we just got back from Alaska, too.
Oh, Alaska. That's like a whole nother fucking planet.
Alaska in the winter sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, -26. That's never again.
Yeah. Fun fact: I was born in Alaska. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's okay. I don't remember. No, my family They lived in Homer, Alaska, and we had to take an emergency flight to Anchorage so I could be born.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was 1981. I remember very, very little about when I was about 5 years old in Alaska.
I was absolutely blown away by Alaska. Like, I've always known about Alaska. The wilderness there is not like the wilderness we have here. It's dangerous.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you don't step out of your truck and go walk around the mountains. Like, you're going to get killed.
you're gonna get killed by a
There's gonna
moose
be
or
a
a bear
grizzly
or
bear,
a
a
deer.
moose.
Yep.
Wolves, I actually heard, don't mess with people too much, which is shocking. I heard that from a musher. We did a dog sledding thing up there, and that was I had no idea how amazing those dogs were.
I guess it depends on how hungry the pack is, right?
Yeah, that's true. He said they're big. Timber wolves are big.
Oh, they're big.
They're 350 pounds.
Dude.
9 feet long.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying how big those things
Hyper
are.
intelligence.
Yeah, no. Like I've seen wolves at like at zoos, and even those were big. And they're like, yeah, in captivity they don't get as big in the wild. In the wild, like they're fucking massive.
Yeah, the musher that we were with up there. So he's got a sled team of dogs, and that's what he does for a living. Like that's his living. And he was like, yeah, we run into. I've never seen a grizzly bear, just some scat wolves. And this guy, he's up in Fairbanks, so he's kind of way up there in the boonies. And he said the number one thing that he runs into is moose.
Moose.
Super aggressive, super dangerous, and they
Game over.
do not care.
No, they don't care. Game over. They charge at you and they start stomping you. It's done. Yeah, they're massive. They weigh about 2,000 pounds.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, they're massive. Yeah, they like grizzly bears don't even fuck with them. They fuck with the cubs though.
The cubs, yeah.
Yeah, the moose cubs will get attacked by grizzly bears.
Grizzly bear was one of my worst fears of going up there because I think here in Washington we've got 3 grizzly bears or something.
Well, there's actually some in the North Cascades.
Yeah.
Like so, if you took 90 east and you went north towards like Lake, I don't know what lake starts with a K, up in that area, you start to get into some areas where there's actual documentation of grizzly bears in Washington State.
There in Alaska, I think the grizzly bear population is 1 per square mile.
1 per square mile.
1 per square mile.
Like based on the entire state, or
I can't remember if it's the entire state or a portion of the state, but I vaguely remember Alaska, and I was just like, wow, definitely don't want to go. I mean, they got hiking trails. When you go on hiking trails, they've got gun rental shops.
Yep, gun rental shops.
Rent you out a 44 Magnum.
Yeah, because that's what you need.
You
need a fucking hand cannon and fucking stop something like them. I hope I don't have to use this. I really do. Because if you miss, you're fucked, and all 6 shots might stop it. But yeah, no, you need a fucking hand cannon. Yeah, and at 44 Magnum, if you're not experienced shooter, you pull the trigger once on that gun, and it's gonna fucking it's gonna terrify.
Blow back your wrists.
Yeah, it's gonna
break both of your wrists.
It's gonna terrify you. Yeah, you gotta train for that kind of shooting. That's real life, though, man. That's real life. That's where you go. That's the kind of nature that you go experience, and then you realize that life don't give a fuck about you and your fucking entitlement, man. It doesn't give a fuck. It is brutal. It is relentless, and it is guaranteed. You're guaranteed nothing.
It's still the frontier.
That's the fucking frontier,
That's
man.
The frontier. It's still
real life, man, and most of the world has that. Yeah. You know, there are people that live in parts of the world where it took generations to learn how to get to the point where they can just survive. You know, like you take somebody who doesn't know, you take somebody from the city, grew up in the city, and you go take them to live in a situation like that. They don't learn that very fast.
Oh, I've heard the stories. Africa, Russia and the tigers. That's the best one I've heard.
What's that?
Tigers have a vengeful nature.
Ooh.
And I remember hearing this story where this hunter, some tiger was nearby, came at him, and he shot him, sprayed him. And small village, and this hunter lived out in the woods, and this tiger started stalking him for months. And all the people on the village, they knew, like, that tiger's after you, man. You stay away from us. Like, you're done.
Fuck.
Eventually, the tiger got him.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So the tiger lived when he shot at him.
He lived, and that the tigers, don't forget, man, they're super aggressive, smart, vengeful. They will get their revenge. They will, and you got to be careful.
Oh,
And that's,
wow.
yeah, all over the world. It's just here we have the bubble
Yeah.
of everything is civilized. And,
Yeah, the safety bubble.
Nature's
For now.
controlled.
For now. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that don't understand that's requires a lot of maintenance. Okay, Alaska. What outside of Alaska? What was a cool place that you? Okay, let me ask you this. Your opinion is subjective. If somebody said, James, where should I go visit? What's the first one that comes to mind? First place. See, at least it's so amazing that he has to think about it. He has so many options. Dude, I've never been outside of U.S. or Canada.
It would honestly depend on you. What do you
Right.
value? Do
I
you
know it's
value
subjective,
history?
but
Do you value adventure?
what was your favorite place?
My favorite place was Europe.
Europe,
And I
okay.
love Europe for the historical aspect of it.
I like
And
that too.
You just, here, especially on the West Coast, it's like we don't have history that goes back more than 150 years.
120 years
100
roughly,
years.
yeah.
And here I am in Rome having a cafe or a dinner. It's a place that's 1,000 years old.
Jesus.
And that's just, good God.
And there's
You don't see
churches. There's churches there that are over 1,000 years old too.
Churches are scattered everywhere, but even the Roman ruins, going to London, seeing, it's just the history is just so rich there.
Fuck, dude.
And I'm one of the people I like to be there with the history.
I love it too, man. St. Patrick's the Cathedral in Manhattan. It's one of my favorite places I've ever been.
a
That
beautiful cathedral.
that church is so fucking amazing looking, right? It looks when you turn a corner and you look and like you walk up, you're like, is this even fucking real? Looks like a fucking store. It's a picture. It's a movie. And then there's certain times you can go in and pay for a tour and stuff. And I fucking went around and looked at every single thing and read all about it and like had this audio and stuff. Like I was geeking out in there, dude. Because my ancestors built that fucking place, dude. People from Ireland, Freemasons, they built that fucking place. And it's just like so it's just mind blowing.
Europe.
Yeah. So a lot of cool old shit in Europe. I know I was talking about the St. Patrick's Cathedral, how fucking unreal that place is. So you would suggest Europe.
If you connected with that, go to Rome, stand inside the Roman Forum. And that is, 2,000-3,000 years old. And that is where the 7 villages of Rome came together, and that was their marketplace. And you can stand right in the middle of that, where the Roman Empire began, Roman Republic at the time.
Holy shit.
And you can see the building. And I when I was there, I was just imagining myself like, these guys were, bringing their cabbage and cattle and,
Yeah.
not knowing what they were doing at the time, but they were building
Yeah.
the greatest empire the world ever knew.
Crazy.
And you're right there.
You're right there.
It's amazing.
Fuck, dude. And so, dude, Rome is like that's the Vatican, right?
That's the Vatican, which is, I got mixed feelings about the Vatican.
Ooh, did you see it? Did you go?
I went inside.
Oh,
We did
really?
The full tour, saw the
Oh,
Sistine Chapel, everything, and it was.
Should you be talking about it?
It was.
Hopefully, you don't get like sniped or something. I'm just kidding.
It was. It was one of the most impressive buildings I've ever seen. It was absolutely stunning, beautiful.
It's like its own city within the city, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, when I looked at this, the beautiful paintings and the gold and everything else, I was absolutely disgusted by the pillaging of wealth that was there.
Oh.
And I was like, they were building this Vatican back in the days where people were fighting for food just to survive.
Yeah.
And that was like, so it was kind of mixed feelings, like, wow, this is so beautiful, so amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was kind of, this ain't
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. No, yeah, I can see that too. It's. I don't know if I have any room to talk about anything like that, but I definitely heard stories about how that place. Yeah. Well, so there's a lot of gold there.
Enough to feed the world 3 times, I think.
Yeah. Wow. Feed the world once or
I think
lifetime?
it was 3 times.
3 lifetimes?
Three times over, they could feed the entire planet.
Well, if all that gold was actually in circulation, then there would be no economy because then everybody would have money and then they wouldn't have to build anything. Then everybody would die because there'd be nothing to offer. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? Mm-hmm. But what people went through to make that place possible. Yeah, it sucks. Man. People were fucked up, man. People are fucking assholes. Yeah, people are assholes.
Yeah, it's just part of it.
In the Vatican, it's how old is the Vatican? Do you know?
1200s, 1300s, something like that. Maybe sooner.
Maybe sooner.
Yeah, something like that. The Colosseum, that's pretty impressive.
Dude, my buddy went there recently, and he said that it was cool seeing where people used to kill each other.
What blew me away was the size of the Colosseum.
It's massive.
And I used to think for some reason, it could fit 10,000 people. It's 80,000 people.
Oh, really?
80,000 people.
Bro, that's like that's like Quest Field or whatever, right? Where the Seahawks play.
That with stones by hand.
Dude, no cranes.
They had wooden cranes back
No,
then.
they did?
They had something. Yeah. Maybe that was medieval times, but God, it was mind-blowing to think that they built that. There's 80,000 people in this stadium.
And something
years ago.
Something that probably can't even be replicated today.
I'm sure we'll find a way. I'm sure we find a way. I don't think they had as many distractions back then as we do now.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Distractions. So Europe, and then you said you were also in Costa Rica?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, let's talk about Costa Rica. I've never been there, but I heard some pretty cool stuff. Like
Costa Rica.
So, by the way, I heard stuff that I almost didn't believe.
Like what?
People do wild shit and get away with it.
You can do that in any country.
Okay.
Just how ballsy you are.
Okay.
But they have a police force. They're strict.
Yeah.
They will arrest you. They will do it all.
They have drugs there?
They do, absolutely. I think everywhere in the world does.
Yeah, but I guess that's what I heard, that people do drugs that are legal there and it's part of the economy. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong city. I could be fucking...
Weed is still illegal.
It's illegal there? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's still frowned upon.
Well, if you're from Seattle and you want to go to Costa Rica, leave your butt at home, right?
Yeah, leave your butt at home. You don't want to mess around there. They're very lenient towards tourists.
They are.
Their entire economy depends on tourism.
Maybe that's what I heard, that if you're a tourist, you get away with wild shit because you're bringing in money.
Well, it's what I think Costa Rica, when I was there, I was hearing it from somebody. It was a population of about 5 million. They get about 3.5 million tourists every year.
Wow.
2 million of that is Americans.
Oh, it makes sense.
So we have a lot of influence down there.
What are the wild animals like? Like, do they have like iguanas and shit?
I've seen wild iguanas. They're all over the beaches. You'll see them running around, but they've got jaguars that are very rare to see. Toucans, some of the most beautiful birds I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Okay.
Colorful, just plentiful. The monkeys are everywhere.
That's another thing I heard too. Yeah.
Frogs, and it's absolutely just teeming with wildlife depending on where you go.
Do the iguanas bite?
Never had any problem with it.
Okay, because in Florida they bite, dude. Don't get near them; they'll fucking bite you.
I don't mess with wildlife. I just try to enjoy them from a distance.
Yeah.
So I got my camera, snap a few shots, and see ya.
Dude, some of the iguanas in Florida are like fucking 4 foot long. They're just they get in the trees, and if you park under a tree, be careful because they shit on your fucking car, and it's like dude, I had one shit on my car. I shit you not.
I've never seen one that big there.
Yeah, dude, they're massive.
Most
in Florida,
of the ones I think I can remember about 2 feet, 3 feet.
In Florida?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Oh, okay. Yeah, the ones in Miami are fucking ridiculous, dude. They're massive.
Yeah.
They're like fucking dragons, man. You're like, what the fuck? Just strolling along and climbs a tree. Yeah.
The true gem of Costa Rica is the people.
Yeah.
They're just kind, humble. They're just they've got a saying there, pura vida. It's pure life.
Pure life.
Just enjoy life. Chill.
Oh shit.
Do what you can.
Yeah.
And it's quite an amazing just vibe of the whole country.
Huh.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I haven't been there. I want to go. It's one of the places I want to go. A lot of my friends have been there.
They got hot springs.
Dude, that's neat.
They've got a hot springs. It's like a water park for adults. I've never seen anything like it before. And you go to this place, it's called Bali Hot Springs, and it's about 3 hours north of San Jose, the capital.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like something that's unreal. They've got about 10 pools. Each one of them is different, dynamic, waterfalls, different temperatures. Some of them are boiling hot. Some of them are chill, relaxed, a little cool.
Was it you that went to a hot spring somewhere that's cold as fuck?
That's where I was, Alaska. Yeah.
Oh, Alaska. Oh, shit.
Alaska. We went to Chena.
Like your fucking hair was frozen and shit, and
my hair wasn't even wet.
Wasn't even wet.
It wasn't even wet, and it was frozen solid, looking like it was almost on the point of breaking off.
Is it? Is it because the moisture from the
From the
yeah.
moisture hit my hair, and yeah, it was absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like that.
was
And
ridiculous.
the hot springs were amazing though. But compared to Costa Rica, those hot springs, it just looked like a
It's fucking wild as fuck to
nothing.
think of like there's like holes in the ground where water is warm because of the fucking thermal barrier or whatever. And it's like, couldn't you just like, what if like a rush of boiling hot water just came up randomly? Like,
They had a movie about that. I think it was called Volcano.
oh really?
Yeah.
People are just chilling. All of a sudden, they just
Yeah,
boil
all of a
alive.
sudden they literally just boiled alive.
What if that really happens in real life? That would suck. I know there's places that you go to. You got to be careful because it's real acidic.
Yeah, I don't know too much about hot springs. Yeah, I was nervous about putting your hair in it and everything else.
I
And
got to Google that one later.
same rule as a hot tub, like you can't put your head in it or it could kill you.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Why?
From what I've been told, there's bacteria in a
Oh,
hot tub, and you put your head underneath it, and it exposes your head and go into your brain and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
dude, see, fuck that. I would not go in that fucking water, dude. Seriously, you're in there like, oh, check it out. Dude, fuck that, man. Oh, there's a bacteria. I'm like, my dick is not getting anywhere near this fucking water, bro.
Just don't piss in the water.
Oh my
Or are
god.
you that guy?
Maybe I'm that guy that accidentally forgets or don't even notice, you know? Like Jesus.
Yeah, that's in the Amazon. That's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
heard.
okay, where they
Yeah,
swim up your
worms that swim up your.
fuck that, dude. Fucking don't go swimming in the Amazon. Don't put your head in the hot springs. Okay. So jiu-jitsu, elevators, traveling the world. What else, James?
What else?
Fuck, I don't know. Let's talk business.
Business. When you want to talk about business?
You have like a master's in business?
MBA, yeah.
Yeah. How long did that take to get?
7 years.
How much did that cost?
Nothing.
Nothing. Oh, you had a scholarship?
No.
No?
U.S.
What?
military.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Thanks, Uncle Sam.
Thank you.
Hook me up. He did your part. He did his part. So, master's in business. Like, where'd you go to school for that at?
I did Eastern Oregon University, and then I did the University of Georgia.
Oh shit,
Mhm.
Georgia. Yeah, I like Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah,
I
different.
like Georgia. The people were pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Southern hospitality is
Yep.
a real thing, and it's pretty spectacular.
It is. It is. I grew up in Virginia, and I lived in Kentucky, Virginia, Florida, Southern. It's a different world. People aren't as passive aggressive, or
It's cold. Here, people are just cold.
it's cold. Yeah, down there they're just like put it out there and just vibrant and just say it like it is. And like, yeah, I love that about the South. But what are you gonna do? So many people talk shit about that area and they never even fucking been there.
Yeah, some of the. Yeah. I don't know.
But also they get their information from a source that wants to talk shit about areas like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, so 7 years of an MBA, Uncle Sam paid for it. You did your part. He did his part. And then after you got out of college, did you get a job associated with business?
Yeah, I ran into the manufacturing world, and I got hooked on manufacturing.
Really?
I got good. I got so good at it, and I was like one of the top people in the state. I could go in there and straighten out any manufacturing plant in 6 months.
Wow.
And it just, had a passion for it, and I got good at it.
So when you say straighten out, you mean you kind of audit where they're at, and you implement systems and processes and people and
It's using techniques to help you identify the problems. That's it.
problem
And
solving.
One of the ones I use is called tact time.
Tack time.
Tact time analysis. Tact is the German word for pulse.
So tax time or tack?
Tact. T-A-K-T. Tact.
Tack time. Okay.
And that has been one of the most versatile tools I've ever used.
Is it something you can teach people?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
So you look at any process you do from how you get to work in the morning.
Okay.
Dissect every step it takes to do that.
Yeah.
From waking up, going to the bathroom,
Yeah.
getting in your car, starting your car, driving to work.
Yeah.
Time everything.
Holy shit.
And you find out exactly where you need to improve on.
Holy shit. Okay. So you do that within these manufacturing plants.
And you do that when something has 20 to 30, 40, 50 steps of process within the processes. And when you
Right.
look at that, it's like you can come into a plant and, you get people there. Well, how do we make this better? Where do you start? That's where I start. And people, they just don't understand it. It's just a very hard thing to grasp. But it's like I can come in there in a plant that's been operating the same way for 20 years, and I can tell them exactly. I may not know the solution.
But you can definitely.
Usually I do because I've been in that industry for so long. but I can tell them exactly where your opportunities are.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's a huge tool. It's such a huge tool.
Well, just imagine this, one way to look at it is people time block, and which I think is valid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just time block without having focus. And focus is the difference between wasting time, right? And utilizing time. Because you can time block, but if you're not focused and intentional on what it is that you're working on and then having a transition to the next, you can waste hours in a day, right? And if you have technically a 16-hour day awake, right? And you waste an hour or two, well, then that's a pretty big percentage. And then if you look at that long term,
Apply that to a business.
right, and then multiply that by 50 people, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
It stacks up quickly.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly. And that's the difference between a business that has minimal margins and margins that make sense, that make it possible for everyone to do well, and it can help keep costs down. For instance, this thing costs X amount of dollars. Well, why is that? Because of all the waste required to make this possible as well. And if the waste isn't being held accountable, or the people that are causing the waste aren't being held accountable, well, then it's only going to go up. It's only going to be more and
so
more
it drives
expensive.
costs up.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one of the, and it's a tool that's applicable to any business out there.
I like that. I would be interested to do a 1 hour kind of session with you, just to play a game. Like, hey, watch me for an hour and then let's do this tact time kind of thing. Because I'm at the mercy of other people, right? That's kind of one of my job. That's kind of my job. Let's say, because owning multiple businesses, I basically babysit people in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I babysit people. I also, have to structure who's doing what, where they're doing it, right?
That's
Strengths, weaknesses, right?
So I had to use this technique coming into a brand new industry. I was terrified. I was just like, well, I've done this for manufacturing. I don't know if it's going to work for the elevator industry. Oh my God, it worked.
Yeah.
So when
Okay.
you look at this mechanic and what does he do? What affects him? And you started timing it out. So we look at this mechanic works an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
Where does not hours go? Where does every minute go?
Minute. Okay.
And you start breaking it down to, okay, maybe 4 of those hours he's doing his job.
Right.
Okay. 30 minutes every day. He spends his time searching for parking in Seattle.
Duh.
20 minutes every day.
By the way, parking in Seattle is like driving a nail through your fucking face.
30 minutes every day. He's spending his time trying to find the place. Or 30 minutes a day, he's spending his time on the phone trying to respond to people. 10 minutes a day, he's spending his time filling up gas.
Yeah.
So it gives you the opportunities is where can we focus on, And instead of looking at it, how do we make this route better? We just focus on one problem. How do we reduce his parking time? So now what if we could take that parking time down from 30 minutes down to 10 minutes?
Right.
I just saved 20 minutes a day
Yeah.
for a mechanic.
Yeah.
$75 an hour.
Yeah.
Times that by 30 mechanics, 240 days a year,
Yeah.
a couple $100,000.
And then in the long run, that would help bring down the cost of the elevator industry.
At the same time, it also increases your capacity. So now
That's
you take
right.
that 20 minutes and apply it to him actually servicing elevators, and now your capacity increases.
Capacity increases,
You
which
save money and increase your capacity.
That's right. Yeah, people understand that it's a 2-lane highway as well. So, so do you think there's definitely an association with people doing minimal and creating cost to be maximum?
It's the nature of humans.
Yeah.
It's just the nature, and it's from what I look at is I spent a lot of time. It's the reason why I liked your school so much, jiu-jitsu. It's leadership.
Thank you.
And my standing is a crew is always a direct reflection of its leadership. So
Thank
if
you.
the management team doesn't show discipline, doesn't show integrity, doesn't show commitment, your crews are going to run the same way.
Yeah.
And when people do that, it's what parameters are you putting in?
Right.
Simple as that. And I've seen it. I've seen different styles where, I've just watched people for years. People management, I've done that, running plants of 300, 400, 500 people. So I watch everything. And one of the things I notice is that when you hire somebody new, first thing they do is gauge. Subconsciously, they'll gauge the place. What is this place about? What can I get away with? Oh, no. This place doesn't mess around. I need to do my job.
Right.
Or, this place is lax as hell. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
They will gauge your organization and behave accordingly.
Unfortunately, that's almost like the mindset they have walking into it, because that's kind of what's been instilled in them up until that point.
Generations and generations.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, because it's embarrassing how many people that I've offered opportunity to, and most of the time they're exactly that. They just want to get away with what they can, make excuses, and then wonder why they don't have much. And then everything else is the problem. It's not their fault, right? And then ultimately, when you have a company and you have minimalist, it's all you have to work with, then minimal is all you can offer. And this stuff comes at a cost, and then there's these minimum cost. For instance, like there's so many laws and stuff in place in the state of Washington to hire somebody. I have to be fucking careful who I hire. Mm-hmm. I really do. Hire slow, fire fast, because you can get 6 people that work for you and they're just going at half capacity and they want all this extra shit. And it's like, hey, Mr. Customer, you want to know why your kitchen remodel costs so much? Here you go. This is why. Yeah. Because this is the expectation. This is the bar that's been set. This is the standard. And the standard is fucking stupid. Because when I was growing up, the standard was a lot more exceptional. And it just seemed like things made more sense. Now it's like, oh, you got to have this, and you got to have this, and you got to have this, and God forbid you say this or do this, and guess what? Mm-hmm. They need to make this amount, and it's like you're almost forcing people. You're forcing people who provide opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of making it accountable for the employees as well, because it's almost like no matter what they do, they're never in the wrong, so they can do what they want. And I don't want to say that it's, it's not being a dictator, but you kind of do have to dictate some things, or people will just make a fucking mess, and then your business isn't going to work well. Standards, like for instance, the elevator industry. If someone said, oh, I'm going to be an elevator mechanic, do they walk in tomorrow and get a job?
No, you have to go through a pretty rigorous process.
There you go.
But the self-entitledness is just everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely everywhere. And I ran into that into the manufacturing world all the time. And I actually took a very unique approach to it.
Okay.
There's a story that I heard like when I was young, like 21, and it always just sank with me. And it was about a guy in Tiger that ran some container store. And he took a different, instead of paying his people, $20 an hour, $22 an hour, hiring a bunch of them, he said, no, I'm just going to pick 3 awesome people. I'm going to pay them $75K a year. And he said, those people are going to cost me less health insurance, everything else. They're going to be dependable, reliable, and everything else. And I applied that same approach to the manufacturing. And I had this plan. It was a small little plan, 20 people. And I was like, man, we got to compete with wage rates. We can't throw up, Amazon's paying $18 an hour. Standard wage rate in manufacturing is $13, $14 an hour. So I just picked a small core of people.
This was a while back, by the way.
Yeah. I picked a small core group of people that were ambitious or just had integrity, show up to their job every day. They care about their job. They want to be a part of a team. And I just honed in on them, trained them, focused on them. And what we ended up doing was reducing our overall manpower need through processes and the right people. And I was able to pay them $22, $23, $24 an hour.
There you go.
They were beating everybody else out.
Right.
And they were taken care of. And I would say each one of those people, one of them equated 2 mediocre people.
That's right. And I do the same thing in my construction business. I'm very careful about who I hire and how I hire them, because I don't want a bunch of freaking turkeys that just fucking making a mess. Because then you're paying somebody to fuck something up, and then you're paying them to fix the fuck up that they made. And you're like, where's the accountability? So no, I'm very careful about who I hire. I do have a very good crew. I have very loyal employees that I even have employees that worked for me, and they said, hey, I'm going to go try this other thing. I'm going to go work for this company, because they thought they were going to do something that was going to be, and I'm all for that. If you're going to better yourself, cool, awesome. Like I support you. A few months, they come back. They're like, hey, you know what? I liked working for you better. I wanted to try this and it didn't work out. And that's, to me, worth it as well, because then I know that they've seen the other side and they don't want to fucking take any more chances.
Well, it's a testament to you, actually.
Letting them come back?
Because
Absolutely.
it's both. One, letting them come back.
Yeah.
Two, the fact that they want to come back to you. Because there's a saying out there: people don't quit companies;
They quit people.
Managers.
Yeah,
They quit
yeah.
people.
Well, dude, that's studying leadership, practicing leadership is one of the most important things you can do in business, because when you have employees, they're not beneath you.
No.
They're with you. And once you can think of everything like that, then you're going to do so much better. Because my goal is not to be successful. My goal is to make my employees successful, which in turn makes you successful. If my employees can't own a house, if they can't have health insurance, right? If they can't go out to eat at a nice place once in a while, I feel like a dictator. I don't like that, right? So again, I have valuable people instead of a lot of invaluable people that I have to have. It's easier to oversee 12 solid people that, like you said, you've implemented systems, processes, and trained and set standards for, and they want that too, like, because they take pride in what they do. Than having 40 people and you just got a fucking mess. You're going backwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. I'm definitely tact time
analysis.
Tact time analysis.
It's huge. When you see it, it just blows your mind.
Watch, I'm gonna start geeking out on it, and then I'm like, what the fuck was it? What am I thinking? What am I doing?
You just start looking at processes differently. You
know
start
what?
being able to break everything down.
James, this is what I would love to do. We're gonna do this again, because we just started a conversation that I think could go, the business conversation that can go so much further, right? And then what I would like to do is kind of get some notes, have you take some notes of yourself, of your own, and my own, so the next time we have this conversation, then we have a premise to kind of work off of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool, man.
And
Hey,
I've taught this stuff for 10 years.
dude, that's awesome.
So
And that to me, you being able to show people this, I see that you're going to be more of a consultant at some point. Like, I know you work for a company now, but dude, I think you should probably set up to be a business consultant, and niche in those areas that you have, testimonials for, because that's a business, bro. There's a lot of businesses that need a guy like you. Trust me.
Saving money, and it's such a delicate situation, right? Because you got to come into an organization and be like, hey, I'm going to show you how to run things better.
Yeah.
That doesn't sit well with people.
No, but when you word it like that, you word it like that, of course.
There's a very delicate approach to it, how you go with it. It's like I've come into plans where I tell them, they say, what's your plan for the next 3 months? And I tell them, I'm just here to make friends for the next 3 months. I'm here to build trust. I'm here to people see I'm not a bad guy. I'm here to hang out with them, talk about their families, get to know them. And then after 3 months that I establish that,
right,
then we're going to start talking about making things better.
That's right.
And people are going to be like, oh, wow, instead of immediately defensive.
Right.
And it's just, I've got a methodology to it that I've just perfected over the years, that it allows me to just penetrate the tightest knit groups and build that trust and allow them to give me the input, because most of the time the employees, they will tell you the symptoms. And when they start feeding me that information, when they feel comfortable, they start telling me, I'll start being able to piece it together and come up with a solution.
That's absolutely correct.
But you have to build trust, because I've watched people, they come in, they start changing things, they start doing things, they get ran out of that company so fast. People are resistant, they withhold information.
Yep.
When you don't include people in what you want to do, they will sit back and watch you fail.
People like to feel special, man. They like to feel good.
They like to be involved.
They like to be involved.
They like to be included. They like to have a voice, even if that voice can be sometimes irrelevant. Sometimes it can be the most saving grace.
That you'd be surprised, dude. Yeah.
And I got to the point to where, in the manufacturing world, I didn't make mistakes, and it wasn't because I was a genius or something. It was just because I had a process system to where I could see and identify the problem, and I would bring all the key members of that company in, even some of the employees, just bring them down, talk with them, have conversations. And sometimes they would catch something that I would miss, and I'd be like, oh, wow, thank God we caught that. Great job.
Right. Six eyes are better than two.
And then, exactly, same concept. And once that they're involved in that, they're realizing, like, hey, I get to voice my opinion. When we roll out with that change, all of a sudden they're invested.
That's leadership.
They want to see it succeed as well.
I do the same thing with I call it my team and my board of advisors, and I do the same thing. Is if I have an idea or an opinion about something, I'll hand it off, and then they'll bring it back even better.
That's
Yeah.
the key to it.
I'll hand it off, and then of course I make them involved, and they should be involved, right? It's just like I was on the phone earlier with my designer, and we were having a conversation about countertops that I felt was relevant that my countertop fabricator needed to hear, and so I right then and there I said, okay, hey Jen, I'm going to add Constantine to the call because I'm having a conversation that needs to be over here, and then got him on the call and problem solved instead of going through A, B, C to get to D, like just go straight there.
Now, I've also seen the opposite end of that spectrum. I've also seen when managers just roll with it. Just this is what we're doing. And the actual reaction of people is just, all right, good luck.
Mm.
And they will watch it fail. They do not want to help because it's, that's that. And I've seen that across both industries, elevator and manufacturing. So
Ooh.
I'm starting to think it's a consistent thing. They don't feel that they're involved, that they have opinion. Like, you want me to install it? Sure. I see all of these problems, but you don't care about my opinion, right? So let's just do it. You're playing.
Ooh, and they're spiteful.
It almost gets to a certain level of spitefulness, even if it succeeds.
Even if it succeeds.
Yeah. Now, if you got bad apples, they'll make sure it fails.
Yeah.
They will make sure it fails.
No,
Other people, if you got a decent crew, they'll help you succeed as much as they can. But yeah, if you go out there with that dictator mindset that this is perfect. I'm always right. You will be humbled.
Oof. So how do we teach this to high schoolers, middle schoolers?
Management, people management,
Leadership, people management.
Leadership is the biggest word.
Communication.
Communication, conversations.
Yeah.
It's the most powerful thing out there.
Yeah.
But leadership it's one of my favorite words.
It's great. It's guaranteed, man.
Because it's one of the words that I hear the most of.
It's guaranteed.
And 90% of the companies that I've ever heard it from have no idea what it is.
They can't define it.
They don't know. They just love using it. And they don't truly understand what it means. And I was actually, when I was young, 21, in the manufacturing world, I had a coach, very wise man, and he started teaching me this stuff. And I remember when I was managing people, I'd start up and be like, God, I don't know about this guy. I think we're going to have to let him go. He's just not working out, this. And the first thing he has said to me, really? So I want you to tell me the problem. And I started talking, well, he's done this. He's like, you know what the problem is? I was like, what? You. How? Me? Tell me what you've done to coach this person. Tell me what you've done to improve this person. Tell me what you've invested in. And I was like, well, you got me.
That's right.
And he taught me that's leadership.
That's a good one.
And ever since then, I took a different approach to it. And I was just like, if I got a person struggling, what am I going to do about it?
Think of people as like a mechanic. And if you can give them the tools that they need to work, because there's a lot of people out there that have potential and they're only using a fraction of it. And one of the things is insecurities, doubt, negativity, acrimony, whatever. But like when you're able to give them the tools, right, and you can kind of connect with them, like you said, build them up, elevate them, then they become so much more.
And ever
potent.
since I took that different approach, night and day difference. It's just, and that was 9 years ago, 10 years
So
ago.
this is kind of a little definition I have for leadership when people ask me, well, what I think about when I think of leadership. I say leadership to me is practicing being my best self, even when nobody's looking.
Integrity.
You know what I mean? Yeah, because a good leader is authentic, but they're intentional. They educate themselves, and then they learn how to communicate so they can convey to other people, and they can meet you where you're at, right? Because if you don't know how to climb a tree, I'm not going to expect you to just, get up there and climb that tree. No, I need to crawl, walk, run with you, right? Meeting you where you're at. And, again, leadership is practicing being your best self, even when nobody is looking.
Yeah, it's such a powerful word.
Because then that becomes habitual when you're out in front of the people. Yeah. And in mindset, skill set, habits, Bradley talks about that all the time. It's absolutely fucking fact. Mindset, skill set, habits. And you work on those, and then you working on those is practicing being a leader, which is what people see. They're more likely to do what they see than what they're told.
Crew is a direct reflection of their leadership.
Yeah. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate it, buddy. We're going to do this again.
Sweet.
All right.
All right.